We got a top secret bait here tonight. This is a vertical jigging machine. You're gonna pop it up, you're gonna let it flutter down, and you've got this little guy twitching all the way to the bottom. What's up, Yens guys? Welcome back to Fishing PA with Ryan Reed. You know, sometimes you just have a bad day at work and you just want to come home and mess with some tackle. So in this episode, I thought I'd do kind of something different. I thought maybe we could do a bait modification. You know, I don't do a lot of bait mods, but there's one in particular that I've seen in action that I'm kind of really interested in throwing. So I thought in this episode, we could kind of talk about rattle baits. So rattle baits like this. We're talking about lipless crankbaits. Now, there's a specific modification to a lipless crankbait or a rattle bait that you guys can do to kind of make this bait a little bit more versatile. And what I mean by that is typically with these, you can use these multiple ways. You can cast them out and you can do a straight retrieve back. Let that bait wiggle and let that bait rattle. Or you guys can take this, you can pitch it out and you can kind of jig it or pop it or jerk it or twitch it. And this thing will just kind of do its thing. You can go fast, you can go slow. You can do different cadences. You know, there's a lot you guys can do with these. You know, I've actually even used these to vertical jig as well. So a rattle bait's pretty versatile and it works throughout the entire year. So early spring, even through winter, when the water is really, really cold, rattle baits do really, really well. When you get into the summer months, you can really rip these things really fast, work them erratically, and that big, loud rattle is going to do its thing and attract fish. So, I had mentioned this previously, my brother Corey uses rattle baits 100% of the time. I've been throwing a lot of rattle baits throughout the fall and the winter, and I've had a lot of encounters with muskies using rattle bait. So I thought this mod would be kind of interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some parts off of some spinner baits. So I've got a couple of spinner baits here. You guys can see that. These are actually Terminator baits. I don't like to use these for parts, but I realized I don't have any willow blades hanging around. So I'm going to steal a willow blade from this, and I kind of want the silver to match the silver of this particular rattle bait. You guys can see I've had some action on that. It's a little bit banged up, banging off of rocks and stuff too. But so I'm actually going to configure this particular rattle bait, and we're going to use this for muskie this winter. So it's a little bit bigger profile. This is a full 3/4 ounce Bill Lewis rattle trap. We're going to take this willow blade and that clevis off of this particular spinnerbait. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take this back hook off. We're going to upsize the hook on the front, and we're going to attach that willow blade to the back of this bait. So the idea here is to make this bait just a touch more snagless, so you can fish this in rivers and streams around timber brush and things like that. When you think about it, this back hook is what gets caught on a lot of that brush in those streams and river systems, and even in lakes too. But removing that and adding that blade, what it's going to do is it's going to force that bigger hook back up against the bait. You're going to be running your bait like this, and you're going to have that little clevis and that little willow blade hanging off the back of this, just kind of twirling. Now the other thing that's cool about that is that will actually convert this bait for jigging. So say I end up with a kayak in 2020 and I'm out on the water, I could probably use this to just do a straight vertical, and as this bait falls down, that blade will just be kicking all the way down. So kind of a neat, interesting little mod. I know a lot of guys have probably done this on YouTube, but I haven't, and Corey has. So I had to do an episode on it. All right, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to pull the camera in a little bit closer, see if we can get a better angle so you guys can see what I'm doing here, and hopefully this thing will work out. All right, guys, so here's the deal. instead of you guys watching me struggle with this tiny little split ring on this spinnerbait, all I did was I took my trusty handy dandy split ring pliers and I actually removed the clevis and this blade from the spinnerbait. So hopefully you guys can see this. No more blade. It was attached there. We moved it off. Okay, so that's out of the way. Then I took my rattle bait and I actually removed, I've got my rattle bait here. I actually removed the back hook. So this was attached here with a split ring. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually do the same for the top of this bait. And we're gonna remove just the hook, not the split ring, okay? And we're gonna do that because we wanna upsize our hook on the front. I think it's time for me to buy new split ring pliers. I think they've had it. Okay, so now we just got a standard rattle bait, no hooks. So I'm gonna use a 3/0 hook here because I'm setting this up for musky fishing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna quickly put this guy on and we're gonna loop him on real quick. These split rings are actually a lot better than the split rings that are on the clevis for the actual spinnerbait. All right, check that out. Look at that monstrosity. So the goal with this for me is really I'm going to take the bait like that and figure out where the hooks fall. Hopefully you guys can see that. So the hooks fall like that against the bait. So we're actually going to tee this hook. Okay, so we're going to tee that hook up against the bait like that. Okay, now all we got to do is we got to take our little split ring and we got to run it through the back end of this bait and put this on the hook hanger. We'll see how this goes. This little guy's fighting me on everything. You guys can't see anything because my stupid hands are in the way. And there you go. Now notice with the clevis, see how I can spin this blade freely? That's what you guys want. That's why I don't do just a split ring there. You've got to have that clevis, that piece there in the middle. You've got to have that in the middle in order to get this to work right. So a lot of you guys are already really experienced with bait mods. For me, I really like doing this. This is kind of fun thing to do in the winter. All right, so the last thing I want to do in this process, now that we've got our rattle bait, we've got an oversized hook here, and we've got this little blade hanging off the back with the split ring. The last thing I want to do is tee the hook. So the reason I'm doing this, typically you tee your hooks whenever you're trolling baits, but I really kind of like to do this because it's supposed to increase hookup rates. So if you tee it out a little bit, you're supposed to get a better hookup ratio. So statistically speaking, if they're telling me that it works, I'm going to do it. So you're going to take your hook here, make sure it falls vertically against the bait like that. That's where it's naturally going to fall. Then I'm going to take this, I'm just going to spin her around, and I'm just going to give this a little bend. Okay. Now, it's not completely teed there, but for this, I don't need it to be completely teed. I just need it to lay up against the bait like that. So you guys can see that it's a little bit bent there. Now that's going to fall flat. And instead of this kind of fitting in, these hooks are actually going to stick out now. So that will actually, in theory, at least according to Musky Hunter magazine, that will increase my hookup ratio. So, all right, Yins guys. Well, this was the simple bait mod I wanted to talk about. You've got your standard rattle bait. You've got an oversized hook here, and you've got a blade to match. And now you guys have some versatility with these baits. Again, I'm going to use this one for some muskies. We're going to see what we can do. But that's it. Pretty simple. You guys can do this at home. All right, Yins guys. So I got my rattle bait done. Didn't take too long. Got my oversized hook. Got this. Now when I'm bringing this in the water, this is going to flail around back there freely. You've got the big oversized hook for the hook set. And you've got a nice little small profile of a bait to work in the winter. So looking forward to getting out there and trying this, see if I can't get a fish on it. So I don't know. Take a look at stuff like this. You know, you can modify a lot of tackle, and it's really fun to do, especially in the wintertime. Take a look at some other ideas and leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys like to modify bait-wise. Just kick around some ideas and share some information. All right, well, if you guys like this video, hit that like button for me. If you guys like this content overall, or if you just like rattle baits with blades on them, an oversized hook, please subscribe to my channel. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I really appreciate all of you guys in the comments you've left. A lot of you guys are hitting me up on social media, and we're having some good conversations. I'm really enjoying having the channel. I know I don't have the best content for you guys, but you know, hopefully you guys can see how passionate I am about the sport of fishing, and hopefully it helps some of you become just as passionate about the sport. All right, guys. Well, this made my day a little bit better. Tomorrow's a new day, so there's that. Tight lines. We will see yins next time.